And the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. And this is my friend.
I'm Justine Ewald from TMA.
And we have an exciting new video series for you. It's all about manufacturing and what takes place in Illinois.
We are going to meet the people that run these companies. We are going to get on the shop floor and we are going to see what it takes to work for manufacturing.
Manufacturing is a thing in Illinois that more and more people are trying to get involved in. And so we're gonna find out the who, the what, the why, and we're gonna get put to the test and see if we can actually do the jobs that the people inside are doing. Where are we today?
We are in Prairie Grove, Illinois at Alliance Laser Sales and the Laser Development Center. And I'm a little scared. We got some activities today and we're gonna be put to the test like Tony said.
Let's do it. I can't wait to see what they're going to have us do today.
I hope I beat you. That's my only goal today.
Everybody, welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony DeMakis with Alliance Specialties and Alliance Laser Sales. And you just watched the trailer for the series that Justine Ewald from TMA and I are going to do. We actually have a meeting this week to discuss more details about what that's going to look like. We've got a couple companies that are already looking to invite us in to tell their story and what that looks like. And then we're going to compete head to head and we're going to see who is the better employee. I'm excited to see how that turns out. She's a hard worker. She's got a lot going for her. Not only that, but she's a musician. She's talented. She's got all that stuff. So we're going to have more information about that coming out as we get closer. And you're not going to want to miss any of that. So what I want you to do is I want you to follow us. I want you to subscribe. I want you to like what we're doing, all of that stuff so that you never miss a Manufacturing Alliance podcast episode. You never miss a Make Manufacturing Great Again episode. And you just stay in tune and in line with what's going on. Who are we? Who is Alliance? Alliance is mold makers that don't build molds. We do all the other stuff, right? So we do polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance. We are the experts when it comes to everything that you need that's not building molds. That's your job. We don't want to do that. We don't want to step on any toes. We don't want to have any kind of competition in that regard. We want to help you out and do the things that you don't have time to do. We want to service where we can. We want to be a partner where we can. And that is our complete goal when it comes to our business. We want to make a difference. And some of the ways that we do that is by getting involved in charitable organizations. We're going to talk with our guest a little bit about that today. I want to thank everybody that came out to IMTS. We had a great show. We were able to provide bikes to 35 kids in need and organizations based on charity donations from you guys, from people that were there watching. It was great to partner with Guardian Bikes. They did an amazing job helping us. What did I just do? They did an amazing job helping us to provide bikes for kids. And so now we're going to do that. And it's because of people were listening and friends in the industry that they were able to help us to do that. So thank you guys for that. We also had our golf outing. Golf outing was a huge success. We're going to dig into some more of that in a little bit. But if you're looking for ways to give back and you're looking for opportunities to serve other people, UTM, United Tool and Mold, has their golf outing coming up October 25th. It is in South Carolina. I don't have a link for it, but I'm sure you could just look up United Tool and Mold and get some information. I know that they're still looking for golfers. I know that they're still looking for sponsors. So if that's something that you would like to do, please participate. It's for iWarriors, great cause. We are partners in what we're doing to raise money for our combat wounded veterans. It's a great thing. The last thing I want to talk about is how you can make a difference and get equipment for your shop at the same time. Like I said in the beginning, one of our goals is to make a difference. It's one of the only ways that I think that we're different from other companies. It's our people and it's our ability and our desire to try and make a difference for the people around us. And so one of the things we recognize is that God's children are not for sale. And when I say that, I mean, we want to try and help end human trafficking. And so for every Alliance machine that you purchase, whether that's a laser welder, a laser engraver, whatever that looks like, if Alliance made it, we're going to donate a portion of that sale to the Tim Tebow Foundation to help eliminate human trafficking because it's a horrible, horrible thing, and we want to end that as quickly as we can. We just want to do our small part, right? And if everybody does a small part, then we can have big results. So I honestly don't have much to say as far as introductions today, because all of our events are over, which is amazing because we can kind of get back to going to normal now. And that's going to be a good thing. So this is a live show. Whether you like it or not, I'm sorry. We're not going to edit it. It is live. I want to thank you for watching in advance. If you're there, let us know you're there. Say hello so that we can have a conversation with you. We can bring you into the conversation. We can talk about the things that you want to talk about, because we have an idea, but we don't know all this stuff. So I am going to stop rambling and yammering on right now and bring in my guy, Richard Evans. Really, one of my favorite people. Love this guy to death. Richard Evans from Reaction, right? Reaction,
yeah.
Reaction Plastic Solutions.
RPS for short. It's easier, right?
RPS. It is way easier, but sometimes people are like, "What is that? What is that?" Michelle says that she's your favorite too.
I think a lot of my favorite people might live in a state that I would never move to.
That's fair. That is fair. That's fair. Listen, if I didn't live here, I wouldn't move here. So we got.
It's good to visit. Come up for the golf outing, come up for trade shows, visit a lot of the people, but I don't know that I'd want to live there long term.
I don't blame you. It doesn't have a ton going for it, especially a guy a guy in the country, right? You don't need the city.
No, we don't need that.
Casey Chang is here with us. He says hello, gives us a nice thumbs up. Casey, thanks for joining us. I appreciate having you here. What's that?
Casey's a good guy. He's one of the sales guys, customer support guys at Moldex 3D that we deal with on a regular basis for our software. So
nice. So real quick before we start, let's tell people who you are, because some people might live in a vacuum or be under a rock and they have no idea what you do, even though you've done a hell of a job of putting yourself out there all over the place.
There's a couple of longer versions if someone wants to watch it. The podcast with you and Christina about what we do. But yeah, we're mold makers by trade, but we don't build molds anymore. We're just an engineering support company, product design, mold design, injection molding simulation, and a little bit of 3D prototyping with our 3D printer, just plastic printing for now. So we service mold builders, mold makers, molders, inventors, anybody with some sort of idea that needs to be designed or a mold that needs to be designed. Simulation that needs to be handled, and then recently into some of the prototyping side of it as well, printing low volume, 5 or 6 parts for just getting your hands on the part and seeing what it looks like. So.
That's so cool. It's so cool because I remember, meeting you when you were like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to do this thing."
Yeah. I guess it's been probably 4 years now.
Yeah,
since our last podcast. I had just started the business, not hadn't been doing it for very long, and I think I went through the whole long spiel of how I started as an apprentice and mold maker and blah, blah, blah. Kind of started the thing and had no idea what I was doing, if I was ever really going to make it. Just kind of winging it to see what happened. And, now, fast forward 4.5 years since I started the company, or almost 5 years, we've doubled in size, which is easy to do when you're a one-man operation. But, I did hire somebody, a couple of years ago, one of my good friends. You've met Artie and hung out with Artie at the golf outing and stuff. He was looking for something different in life, and was willing to kind of do something different than what he was currently doing as a mold maker and come on board. And we were able to expand and take on more customers, take on more work for existing customers. Kind of offer a little bit more for more of what we were already doing. And that itself's just been great. Great guy to work with. Super good. Hard worker, good personality, somebody I've known for, I guess, 25 years now. And, very aligned on a lot of our thought process. Very low conflict situation, which makes working every day with him, really nice. So,
Yeah, you knew
um,
what you were getting, right? I mean,
yeah,
I've loved all the time I got to spend with him, whether it was golf outings or at the trade shows or whatever. Just like easygoing, kind of no nonsense. Like the guy wants to work, but still likes to have some nonsense.
yeah. I don't think he likes people as much as I do. We give each other a hard time. He's the guy that wants to just, hide behind the computer. And apparently, I've been told that I like to talk. And I
No.
like being around people. So
Well, listen, if you're going to run a business, you're going to own a business, you better like being around some sort of people and talking to people. Otherwise, you're going to be a lonely guy with no work.
yeah, I've kind of wondered if I was meant for a sales job instead of a behind closed doors working job. And now that I've gotten more into the business, it's definitely evolved more into that, where I spend more time talking to customers, going to trade shows, just standing around just jammering about who knows what, for hours at a time. And so I think that's probably definitely more my purpose. I think I have a purpose in life. I hope I figure it out before it's too late to use it properly. But it's definitely involves people. I've learned that I do like to be around people, and just I don't think I could be a recluse very well.
No, 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 not at all. It's not in your nature. I mean, just from what I know about you, I mean, of course you have a purpose. I think you know your purpose. I mean, that's a whole conversation that we can take in a different direction. And I'm sure it has to do with talking to people. I mean, it
Yeah,
usually does.
yeah,
Um, but I think it's good when your role has to change, especially when you're the owner of the company, right? Like you started the company. If your role was just always forever to be the guy behind the computer building design, making designs, then how does anybody ever know who you truly are and who your business is if you're not the one that's getting out there and sharing the dream, sharing the story, sharing the why and the mission?
yeah. Yeah, I think too many people just get comfortable. Like they have a steady stream of work from maybe some customers they're used to working with, and those customers send them a few jobs every so often. They don't really ever look at it as like, what else can I do with it? And
Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite. Like I'm not happy being complacent. Like I want to, like, what else can we do?
Yeah.
It started as I'm going to draw molds for people that I know, part time, and then it started like blowing up to the point where I needed I needed more time in the day to do it. So I quit my full time job to start a full time job of owning a company, and it's like, okay, well, I got this customer. Well, this company does something similar. Why can't I do work for them? You know,
Right.
well, if I'm doing mold design for you, why can't I handle your product design? You know, and then a few years ago we branched off into offering, how can we diversify? I looked into mold simulation. So we went with the big company that sells software, and went with them for about a year, and was not impressed, was unhappy with the service. I felt about this big to a
Yeah.
company that didn't care about me at all. And so actually KC and another guy at Moldex, Harshal, we started talking a little bit about, us switching over to Moldex 3D and using their software. And, those guys were super accommodating and, willing to work with a small company like myself to get me on board, to help me with, handling some of the costs of the software. I mean, this stuff's not cheap. I think
No.
everybody knows that simulation software is not cheap. Um, but those guys were, they were willing to work with me. And, it was something I looked at as, can I bring this into the business? Can I scale it? Can I make it actually something profitable for the business, but also a value to our current customers? If we're already designing a mold for, if Tony comes and needs a design, and we identify an issue that, or a potential issue with the design or with the part design or whatever, if we can come in and then say, hey, X amount of dollars, we can run you a mold simulation, and we can pinpoint, we can help point out the areas, we can fine tune the mold design, we can improve the mold design. And in the end, when you build the tool, you're just going to be that much further ahead. It's value to you. It's a small cost up front. Maybe it's a couple extra $1,000 added to the cost of mold design up front, but in the long run, if you get a better performing tool, better part quality, faster cycle times, everything is just optimized to run better, then it was a couple $1,000 well spent.
Right.
So I looked at it as that is we could expand our business, but also offer better service to our customers. It's not, it's not always just about making more money. It's, how can we be better suppliers to our customers? So we went that route, and we're in our second full year, almost 2 full years now with Moldex 3D. And, probably one of the best decisions we've made is to switch with them and partner with them. And, they've been very, very supportive of us. And then we're actually strengthening that relationship. As of this week, we finally finalized all the paperwork. We're going to be resellers for the software. So we'll be offering software sales and support through Moldex 3D. So not only offering the simulation services, if our customers after a year of, paying for simulation, if they're interested in actually purchasing the software, we can help them get, purchase the software, get set up, get trained, support and everything they need at that point to, to kind of take it off and run on their own. If, and then if they get overwhelmed, then, we're obviously still going to be here for support.
Yeah.
So
look at you just continuing to grow and kick ass.
I mean, if you're not, what do you do? If you're not growing, or if you're just staying the same, I mean, you're falling behind, right? And that's what they always say. If you're just
Yeah. It's
staying
like
where you're at,
you're not growing, you're dying. Isn't that what it is? I mean, you got to keep moving.
So, I mean, I'm constantly looking for ways that we can do something different and more with the company, obviously without becoming a threat to our current customers.
Right.
If I decided to open a mold shop, obviously that would be probably a step in the wrong direction for our engineering business. We would have to support ourselves.
I don't think they would welcome you with open arms. That's just that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
When
but
we
to add 3D printing for plastics, that was the first thing we did. Was we added that. So again, we can print anything within a 10 by 10 by 10 cube. Multiple different materials. Great for prototyping type stuff. Then we added the simulation. I've talked a lot about it, haven't actually made any like real advancements with it yet, but we've talked a lot about adding metal 3D printing as a service to a part of it. I mean, not everyone has that technology in house. A lot of your mold builders still don't have it in house, and they're offering it, they're going to outsource companies to have that done. And, the technology is changing so rapidly now, and the cost is coming down. There's, there's some much more affordable options out there that are printing better than ever. And if you look at some of the, I feel like a salesman right now for a 3D printing company, but if you look at some of their capabilities now, like when we were in MPE, I spent a lot of time with the guys from Exact Metal and, what they're doing. And, they have
is that where Scott's at now?
Yeah. Our good friend Scott Kramer's over there in Dana.
Yep.
So spent a lot of time with them, really learning a lot about their machine, and, very affordable, realistic pricing on it, a footprint that, it's like a cabinet. I could put it right here behind my desk and plug it up into regular, like 110, 120 volt outlet. You don't need special power to run it. I mean, it's it's phenomenal what they're doing, but now it's like, my thought process is what could we offer to our customers if we had that technology? If we're designing a tool and we see an area that now is, has a bunch of small inserts in it that, hey, we could just throw these on a build plate and we could print these for you and send them to you, at additional cost when we're done with the design. Spare your tool makers from having to grind up all these inserts. We could print them almost net zero, send them to you, you finish them out, stick them in the tool, or we're targeting an area, we're doing a cool, mold design, and maybe there's a difficult area to cool. Can't get cooling into a certain area. We could look at that area and through the design and the simulation, show them a before and after of what their tool is capable of. This is what you can do conventionally, and this is what what you should expect to see real world in the press. Or we could go to this route, do something 3D printed, and here's the expected improvements, via simulation, obviously, predicted improvements. And, at that point, if they're interested, we could print that insert for you as well,
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a natural progression for you to be able to have, both of those, both the plastic printing for the prototyping and the metal printing for the mold issues, or even just being able to prototype that stuff for people, it just seems like it flows for you, where again, you're not stepping on anybody's toes, which is
Right.
the hardest thing, right? When we bought Dynasty used to be a mold builder, world-class mold builder for a lot of years. Doug's family owned the company. His dad and his uncle owned the company. And the first question we got from everybody was like, "Oh, so now you're mold builders?" And we were like, "Hold on. Like we
You'd
we've
have to change
always
your whole introduction to the podcast.
no, no, it's no, I have no interest in doing that. Like my opinion is, and I say this about you all the time, we have always been mold builders. We're just not building molds, right? Like
Right.
that's the thing. Like we are doing all those things that mold builders need on a regular basis. We're not building molds, but that doesn't mean that we're not part of that industry. It doesn't mean that we're not super intricate to what it is. I mean, this is a conversation you and I have had over and over again. And I will continue to stand on my soapbox and fight for you in all those areas where people are like, you know, he's a vendor. Like we've always been called, they're a vendor, right? Well, no, we're not a vendor. Like a vendor is the uniform salesperson. A vendor is the guy that sells, or rags, right? Oh, you need your carpets picked up. We're gonna come give you carpets and give you rags, right? Um, you know, Boride or Geschwin. When you need polishing stones, or like those are vendors, right? Those are partners. When you are right in the thick of all of the design, the build, the product, all of it, like in my opinion, you're no longer just a vendor. You are a solid part of what's happening in the trade.
I try to call it strategic partners.
Okay. I like that.
We're support. I mean, and I've used this expression as we try to be an extension of a company. We don't want to work with you one time on something.
Right.
First job we do with any company is the absolute worst of anything. It's the worst for us. It's the worst for them because we don't know them. We spend more time on it. I can't quote it high enough to cover the learning curve of dealing with a new customer. So
Right.
I have to quote it like it's a regular customer. And we just kind of eat it on the first one, hoping that they're going to be happy with what we do. They're going to see that, yeah, what you provided us with is a good product. It's a great design. It's a great simulation, whatever. Maybe it's not exactly what we would expect because we have our own shop standards. Our customers have their own standards. There's a certain way we have to do things, but what you did is great. We just need to tweak it to match this. And I understand that, we're going to have that stuff. So, what I tell people is don't expect the first one to be a home run. Don't expect me to be able to read your mind and know everything that your guys are doing 700 miles away in Chicago, what they're doing behind the doors. We don't know those answers. So, we're going to do the best we can, and then we're going to adapt and we're going to learn you. And the next job, we're going to be that much closer. And, after a few jobs, there's very little on our customers' ends to have to do, because we understand what they're looking for. We know their procedures, what they have in place inside their shop. So I can consider it like, that's why I call it strategic partner, because I'm wanting to build that relationship long-term and keep working with the same people, keep getting that repeat business. I mean, because if you're not getting repeat business from customers, are you truly successful in doing a good job?
No, there's a major problem.
If
you get one job from a customer and you never get another one, there's a major problem there. That means that something went wrong and they're not willing to talk to you about it. Right.
So yeah, I don't like to be called just a vendor or a supplier at all. I mean, I like for people to think of us as, kind of a contract part of their team,
Yeah. I think
we're there when they need us.
I think you're freaking brilliant. I'm just going to say that. Like, you just set the expectation right in the beginning. You go, listen, I want to do this work with you, but just know that the first one is not going to be the best that you get from us.
Which is difficult for me because like I'm somewhat of a perfectionist on things.
Yeah.
And it like, and Artie, if you asked Artie about this, he would tell you, like, I will worry myself sick thinking that a customer is unhappy with what we're doing. When in reality, they're probably not,
No,
because in my mind, like we could knock it out in 3 days. Like if we could give us a design, we can knock it out in 3 days. And at the end of it, my brain goes, they probably wanted it in 2.
But I mean, even if they did, right? by starting the conversation with, what you get on this first project, we never worked together before. What you get on this first project is probably not going to be the best result that we're going to get over the long term, right? You're giving, and then they go, yeah, but we want to work with you. So you're already getting permission from them. And then when you
Right.
wow them, you leave them going, so this is the worst we're going to get from him. This doesn't suck. Like, I can deal with this. This is the absolute worst opportunity to work with them, because as we get better, we're going to continue to grow, and they're going to know us better. That's what he's telling me. Like, what a great sales pitch.
Well, I mean, it's
And the
honest,
truth.
it's transparency,
Yes, of course.
right?
Of course. But being able to recognize that and be honest and authentic with what your experience has been, that transparency, like you just said, it's a huge differentiator than a lot of people in industry have, right? Everybody promises the greatest results the first time. And if they can't deliver it, then they got, mud on their face and they look like a schmuck. But
Well, they just
by
have loads of excuses.
Yeah, by taking your approach and saying, this is what this is going to be. We want to work with you, but let's make sure that the expectations are what the expectations should be. You're giving some give and take there, right? Like, you can start the conversation with, like, as we're going through this, if there's things that you don't like about our process, let's talk about it. If there's things that you don't like at the end, let's talk about it. How can we continue to get better for you and serve you in a better way? Like, you're opening the door from the first conversation. I just think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we just finished a couple jobs for a new customer that we've never worked with, and I mean, that was my comment actually to the guy last week, was like, hey, when this is all wrapping up, we should have another meeting. I realize there's not another job coming up right this minute, but we should have another meeting to just discuss what you saw, what we saw, what did you like, what did you hate, because you know some customers don't like chamfers on everything in the model. They just want everything to be drawn sharp. They'll chamfer it as they need it. Some customers want the models to look exactly the way it needs to be when it comes the off the machine. So in this case, the customer was like, hey, any chance you can not put chamfers on the next design you do for us? And I'm like, yeah, that's no problem. I just need to know that up front. Not a big deal. That's your standard. We'll make a note. That's a standard for your company. We do that all the time. We have
Mhm.
list of standards for each company we work for. Some of them have little, certain things they want done a certain way, and we adapt. And that's the things you learn as you go, if you're paying attention, if you're listening, and if you're taking the feedback. If you just ignore the feedback, and I think design, engineering, whatever you want to call it, is notorious for being known for being bullheaded and
Mhm.
stubborn and not wanting to change anything. And
Why
that
is
is
that?
the exact, maybe pride, maybe not wanting to spend the time, which time is in engineering, time is money,
Yep.
time to redo anything. And to some extent, there are times that comes into play. If you have a mold design 98% complete and the customer comes in and they got a completely redesigned part and it's going to cost you a week worth
Sure.
of work, different story.
Yeah.
If it's, we don't typically show our holes in the model like that. Can you change it to look like this?
Sure.
Yes, it's going to cost me time. I'm going to update it, but I'm going to make a note of
Right.
how they want it done. It's a learning tool at that point. I learn what this customer wants. Um, so I think having that attitude is helpful, where so many people have been hit with this, where you ask them, they're asking their design company or even internal design people to change something, and they're instantly met with negative feedback. I think not having that is a big help for us. Like, I try not to do that. I try not to get just, caught in the mud and, stuck on it, and just get upset with the customer. It's easy to do. Customer comes in and changes what they want on you guys. I'm sure it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You get a lineup, suddenly that lineup changes, and they just expect you to keep moving like nothing happened. It's frustrating, but you just gotta roll with it. Move on with it and learn from it.
And the beauty is, it's things that you can take into the next project that you do, not just with that customer, but with the next customer and the next customer and the next customer. If you just keep learning from that, and what questions do I need to ask, and what does this look like, then your process just becomes better for all of your customers in the future. And hopefully you have to do less and less of that every time. Like one of the things
Right.
that we found was when we were quoting polishing to people, like there is a standard, right? There's a standard chart of what polishing should look like. There are certain diamond finishes, right? Like everybody should know what those are.
An
But it's,
A3 is an A3, regardless of your opinion of how shiny it is.
yeah, well, that's what you would think, right? That's what you would think. That's how it's supposed to be, right? There are guidelines on purpose for this thing, right? And what we found was, people don't necessarily like it's subjective in some ways. So we quoted a project and it was an A2 diamond, and we quoted it, and we were like, I don't know, $10,000 higher than somebody else. It was crazy the amount of hours that we were putting into an A2 diamond finish, which requires a lot of work, right? And so the customer came back and they were like, "Are you trying to give me a heart attack?" And I was like, "Hold on. What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm only looking for an A2." So it was like, only A2. Okay. Well, there's some red flag signs going off, right? Like if you're listening. And I was like, "So what does an A2 mean to you?" And he started going through and he's like, "It doesn't have to be perfect. You can leave some EDM in there. Not everything has to come out. It's got to be shiny." And we're like, "Oh, okay. That's a whole different story then.
Yeah.
Let's quote based on what you're looking for, not what our standards are." Like, and it became an opportunity for us to talk to the customer and say, "Okay, when we say A2, we mean this," right? Um, and so that's what you're going to get from us when we quote an A2. If you want something else, we call that this. And so going forward, we just knew we need to ask that question up front. Like, what are you looking for? What is your goal? What is your objective? What color is the part? Is it clear? Is it a machine finish, and is an EDM finish? What do we need to know? And so every time we run into a hurdle, we get a little bit better about asking the right questions so that we can learn from our past mistakes and get better and serve our customer better and make it a better experience overall for us and them. So that's what I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. Completely agree.
That's good. That's why we give me friends, because you agree with everything I have to say. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that guy. I am not that guy. So what are you hearing from people? Are we in the middle of a strong manufacturing economy, or are we in the middle of a disaster?
Um, I mean, you always hear the gloom and doom.
Yeah.
What we are seeing is the exact opposite.
Of doom
We
and
have
gloom?
not, yeah, exact opposite of that. I mean, we have not slowed down. It's kind of a running joke that Artie and I have about when we get slow, we're going to go play golf. We're just going to take a day and go play golf. And I think we've been trying to go over like the last 2 years, ever
Yeah.
since he hired him. So, no, I mean, whenever he was looking at coming on board, I mean, I was ramping up customers and bringing on some new people, to work for. And we have not really slowed down since.
Hmm.
Um, some of the people we work do support, we've seen some of them slow down, but
Yep.
they go up and down just like tool shops always do. It seems like you always made that joke. If you could figure out how to normalize the workload in a tool shop, you'd be rich. You'd be the best,
Yeah.
best tool shop in the world because no one seems to manage it, be able to do it. And it's not their fault. It's just the industry,
Right.
things come in waves. Um, but so we've seen ups and downs with some of our customers, or really with all of our customers. But what we have seen is it's still steady for us, but we're also very diverse in the industries
Sure.
we work for. We have packaging customers where we may do 48 and 72 cavity molds. We have medical customers where we do, 8 cavity and smaller, but very high tolerance style tooling. We have automotive customers. We have customers that are in firearms, which firearms has been busy this year. It's an election year.
Yeah.
So firearms has picked up. Um, we've seen a lot of RV and marine work, a lot of just random consumer goods. So for us personally, I would say it's very strong. We're be honest with you, we're borderline overwhelmed week, every week.
Yeah.
We typically have more than what we can get done, and trying to juggle it amongst our customers. And but we have heard some of the shops, that are slow, looking for work, looking to diversify, and that's where I think it comes in, is they're not very diverse. Maybe they only focus on automotive tooling, and they have suffered because of that.
Right.
When the strikes were going on, I think there were a lot of companies that were struggling because there just wasn't a lot of new work to be had in automotive.
Yeah.
So I think the companies that we talk to that maybe are slower, are the ones that are less diverse in what they offer. Maybe they have just a niche style of mold they build, for a certain industry. I think most have been very steady with repair work. I haven't talked to anyone that we work with that says, "Yeah, we're in trouble. We're laying off. We're closing our doors." Definitely none of that. Some of them say, we don't really have any new work coming at the moment. We've quoted a
Yeah.
lot. We're expecting a lot of new work to come, but in the next month or so. And we've just had a huge load of repair work.
Hmm.
So I think it's strong. I think there's still the fear. A lot of people still have the fear of the economy, what's going to happen
Yep.
with the election, what's going, just there's always that. There's always speculation, and I think human nature is to always, people tend to err on the negative side, and gloom and doom, and like, oh gosh, this is never going to work out. It's hard to be pessimistic, or it's hard to be optimistic. It's easy to be a pessimist, I think. But personally, I see it as very strong right now.
Good. No, that's amazing. That's great. I we tend to hear both. We're on both sides of the spectrum. We just had a long time customer of ours. They closed their doors. They've been slow for a while. They just had an auction and got rid of a bunch of stuff. And you hate to
Right.
see that, right? I mean,
Oh
it's awful. It's awful to see that. But at the same point, there's a lack of skilled labor in what we're doing. And so, the hope is like that business closes, and those guys can get jobs in another place and keep things going and moving in the right direction. We've had some companies say, like, I need to buy this equipment from you right now. And we've had other companies say, the corporation shut down my entire budget for any new purchases for the whole year. And that was back in March. Um, and I think it's kind of what you're saying. Like, we go to the AMBA conference and we listen to Omar uh, talk about what he foresees in the future, or Lori Harbour used to give that speech all the time too, right? About like what's coming, what to expect, what do we need to be on board for, what are the where are we going as far as a political nation, what does that look like? And I think the reality is nobody's got a crystal ball to have the answer.
no.
And it's,
And
you
let's be
just got to keep
honest.
working.
Is there any political outcome that really affects it that much through the years?
I don't
I mean,
think so.
if you look back the last 20 years, I mean, yeah, I mean, we had some big crashes through the years, but I mean, let's be honest, they're all crooked. I mean, they're politicians for a reason, right? So, everyone talks about the election, so I'm curious to see how things go, and obviously have how I hope it goes, and hopefully see our economy better, and see us get back on focusing on America, and making our country what it should be versus worrying about everyone else. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I just I agree with everything that you're saying. And I just think that, so many times it's easier to like it's like sports teams, right? It's easier to blame a loss on an injury, or, the weather, or, the things that you could say are beyond your control.
right,
Instead of just saying like everybody else needed to rally and we needed to work harder. Like, there are a lot of companies that are still out there. There's a lot of work still out there. There's people still doing the stuff. Just got to find it. And to your point, like, shift your focus. Okay. Right. Like, this industry is really busy. So maybe we should go after that industry a little bit, instead of just saying, well, we are automotive. That's what
right.
we do. Okay. Well, like, I don't know if you saw this, but there's not a lot of people buying cars, and they're really, really expensive, and they're not making them. So
Yeah,
if you're just going to like hitch your wagon to automotive and just like hope it works out, I mean, good for you. Or you can look at it and go, hey, we got all this equipment, we got all this knowledge. What else can we do? What else can we make? What other sector can we go after? Like, just go get it.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to put yourself out there. I mean, and it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, maybe it's not the style of mold you traditionally make, or even from a design standpoint, maybe it's not the designs that you typically do. But if you can learn it and you can do it,
Right.
you can perfect it,
Right.
right?
Right.
I mean, we had a customer come to us might have still been this year. I don't know. It was earlier this year, asking if we'd ever designed tooling for roto molding. And I'm like, no, never. But I can.
Right.
you
Right.
know, they had some existing molds. They had some, some references to go by. They're not far from us, so we drove down and checked it out and looked at the tools, and we learned how to design for roto molding. So add that to the resume. We design for injection molding and roto molding now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
They're
I
willing to
think
work with us. Why not work with them and help them?
I think that's the whole thing, right? Like we put so many limits on ourselves of what we can and can't do. It's not anybody else limiting us. It's us limiting what we're trying to accomplish. Because we have this idea in our head, like we are just this, right? We only make this. It's like when I used to run and do races, I had my fastest races the days I wouldn't wear a watch. Because if I wore a watch, I stayed within my pace and I knew where I needed to be and I knew what would be acceptable. And I knew, like, this is my comfort zone. This is where I'm at. But if I didn't have my watch and I just ran and or rode or whatever that looks like, that's when I had my best PRs, because I was just going on feel and hunger and wanting to get it done versus like staying in that little box.
Well, it's less distraction.
Yeah.
Distractions are what slows you down in life, whether it's running, work, your personal life, whatever. Distractions are just kind of what, to me, in my opinion, what does it. And to that same thing, my best race that I had, my best 5K, was just running with a group it was a fundraiser for a local church that they raised money for. I think it's called like Miles for Meals or something.
Okay.
And it's at this place near us. We have this park that around Christmas time every year they light the whole place up. People pay money and to sit in line for hours to come drive through this park and look at Christmas lights. And we love the park. Our children love it, and we always take them every year. But they have a running through the lights, and it was too dark for me to even see my watch. So I'm just running, and I'm just going with the flow of people, and it's like, this person's fast. Just latch on to this person and let's just run. And when it come around, I ran like a 22-minute 5K, and I was just like, "This is the best 5K I've ever ran in my life." This was awesome. Haven't been able to do it since.
But I think there's, one of the fun 5 questions I was going to ask is like, it said, there's two different kinds of people in this world. What are they? And like, have that person define it. And like you saying that just now, it made me think like that's 100% true, right? There is the kind of person that, something gets in their way and they have excuses for it, or something gets in their way and they overcome it. And like, one person could look at that whole situation and go, it's too dark. I can't see my watch. I don't know what my paces are. There's no way I'm going to run my best race today. This sucks. And then there's the other person that goes, it's dark out. I can't see my watch. I guess I just have to run to my best ability. We'll see what happens.
Right.
It's going to be awesome either way.
It actually helps you get rid of the distraction of worrying about it at that point. So
we had a lunch the other day and at work, and I talked about how obstacles are just the way, right? Like there's no avoiding obstacles. There's no like perfect day. There's no perfect project. There's always going to be some sort of an obstacle, but the obstacle just becomes the way. It's just what it is.
it's just life, because life happens.
Yeah. Life is full of obstacle.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with setbacks and distractions in your life?
Well, I mean, you want to ignore them, but let's be honest. I mean, you can't. The distraction. I mean, there's always going to be distractions that you have to tend to. I mean, family is a
Yep.
distraction from work.
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is, but
Yep.
it's also a very important distraction. I think it's a distraction that probably keeps us um, grounded where we need to be, where we're not just overconsumed with just working all the time, and
Hmm.
pulls us away from it, and I guess gets us out of that grind a little bit. But I mean, if it's something, a setback or distraction, I mean, it's just use it as something to learn from, or use it as, you know, I got my shirt on here. A big distraction setback for us, a year ago was, when our daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, kind of unexpected, 5 years old. And um, it was something that mentally it was like a huge challenge for me. It's like, you watch your child like suddenly have a sickness that, she'll carry with her for the rest of her life. There is no cure. There's nothing she did to have it happen. It's just, God has chosen her to be a child with type 1 diabetes. And,
Yeah.
so that was something that, I struggled with for a while, and still struggle with it. It's my child, but we've taken it and we're using it to, kind of empower her. She's something that she's taken on to, I guess, treat it as, she's special. She has a purpose in this world. Is it to help other people? We've talked with her a lot about, what she wants to do, and she's met a lot of great people, in the medical industry now that, have helped her over the past year. That as we're finding, they're also T1D. They have the same sickness, um, and so it's been kind of an eye opener for us to to see that, and we're trying to use it as something. Yeah, it's a setback in our life. It's a culture shock. It's a change for us of what we deal with on a daily basis, and but why did it happen? What is the purpose of this happening? There's got to be a why.
Sure.
It's not like it
Sure.
just suddenly this happened. Is it so that we can get more involved and and be helpful with that? Is it maybe the why, is years down the road, we're going to help develop a plastic part that's going to be the cure for diabetes. I kind of joked around with that with Christina when it, first happened. And, she was like, wow, what a story that would be. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's people are working towards a cure every day, and if we could
Right.
somehow, my mind is always churning, like, you talked about like, what's your purpose in life, maybe this is something we're being pushed in that, I keep hoping that we get involved, with some sort of pharmaceutical company that's doing research and, doing something like that. And then suddenly one day we can announce like, hey, check it out. We've
Yeah.
designed something that is going to cure a disease, a lifelong disease that, at one time in life, where there was no cure and people thought they were going to be stuck with for the rest of their life. So, um, yeah, I guess a lot of rambling to get to this point was, I think a setback can turn into a, I guess, a milestone, something to work towards,
Yeah.
something to give you like a reason, a purpose, to say like, this happened, but, now I can see how I can use this to better myself, better my family, better our friends, our friends around us, the community around us, or the entire world, Um, so I think that's kind of how I try to look at it. Yeah, it's, there's negative things that happen. Negative things happen to everybody. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been an interesting few years, with me trying to make it back to your golf outing. And, we say it's 3 years in the making for me to come back and
That's
play.
right.
Um, but, I think all that stuff, it's just going to make you stronger.
Yeah.
The more things that you endure in life, I mean, it's, time under tension, I use that phrase a lot in our cycling classes. It's just going to make you stronger. The
Yeah.
more time and given effort, under strain, it's just going to help in the long run. You're going to be stronger because of it. You're going to change who you are as a person, physically, mentally, and just come out on the other side that much better.
I love all of that. And I think, Jack and I talk about this all the time. Like when you're struggling with something or you have something that you need to overcome and you're like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to go through this? And
Oh, the first thing is always why me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Why
yeah,
me?
yeah. And, one of the things that him and I have talked about and we kind of look at is like, it's not why me, it's like I get to now, right? Because now I get to carry this thing and I get to learn through it. And then I get to help the next person that's going through this thing, right? So like, why me? And maybe it's just the optimist in me or whatever, but because I look at God going, because you're strong enough, because I'm going to be there with you to get you through this so that you can help the next person through it, you know, because I want you to, right? Like, why me, Dad? Why do I have to take out the garbage? Because I asked you to, like, because
So all kids ask that question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think like, every time there's something like that, like with Georgia and the type 1 diabetes, it's like, how many kids is she going to have the opportunity to impact? Whether she meets somebody else with type 1 where she can help them and be like, yeah, I know this is scary. The needles hurt at first, but it's not like she can tell them their story, or just to shed light on what that looks like for other kids that don't have it and don't know what it is. It just gives her this opportunity to be something bigger than she could. And it opens her eyes to like, kids are different. What's that going to look like for the rest of your life going forward if you actually like recognize all those things?
Right. Yeah, and it's amazing the support there is inside of that community.
Yeah.
So, when she was diagnosed, there was another little girl at her school, a few years older than her, that that has it as well. And I mean, it's when we came back to meet with her teacher and the school nurse and the principal, like that girl and her mother were there,
Mm-hmm.
like after hours to come meet Georgia, bring her gifts, talk to her, ask us if we had any questions. The mom has been, super supportive, with us having questions. And, and like the walk we're going to here in a couple of weeks, it's, last year we went to it, like still just like had no, still like shell shocked as to everything that was going on. It had only been like a few weeks since her diagnosis, so
Right.
we show up at this walk and it's just like all these people there that, either there are to support or, maybe they have type 1 or their families of people that have it. And you just see all the people and like all the support and all the recognition, and everyone curious, like how long, when were you diagnosed? How do how are you doing? Do you have any questions? Do you have this? And the people that have reached out to us, like that we have no idea who they are. They just, through this organization, it used to be called JDRF, and now it's turned into Breakthrough T1D, with the
Okay.
Junior Diabetes Research Foundation. They ask, can we share your contact information with people, and like just random people that like, oh yeah, my child has diabetes, and reaches out to you. And people we've encountered along the way when we'll be at a park or a swimming pool, and someone comes up and sees our daughter has like her glucose monitor on. They're like, oh look, I have one too, and
Yeah.
instantly, like I guess the not embarrassment, but like the anxiety of her having this device on her body, it like you
Mm-hmm.
just see it go away, just melts away instantly, and it's like completely different. She opens up about it, she talks about it. Whereas if some random person, like another kid, comes up harmless, but what is that?
Right.
A little more standoffish about it. But so it's amazing the support, and we're trying to teach her that, and trying to offer her that support and teach her to offer that support to other people as well.
Yeah.
Um, and she's been very very interested in it, and getting involved in that sort of stuff. So we'll see the walk coming up in a few weeks. She'll be more adapted to it. We'll kind of see how that goes. So it's our first real time, real time attending the walk and actually trying to fundraise for it and everything. So be a good time.
I, it's awesome. Jack, Jack is with us for those of you that are watching. He's just, at school. He's in the background here. Jack, you got any thoughts on setbacks and distractions? Not that you've ever had any.
Well, wait, am I echoey?
No, you sound great.
Oh, cool. Um, I would say like one thing that we've talked about, going off of what you said, is there's a reason that you have this setback. Like I heard one guy say it as, God trusted you with this setback because he knew you could handle it properly.
Mm.
So he gave it to you. And Now it's your job to handle it properly. Um, yeah, and that's cool.
But
It doesn't make it. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't make it easier. I know that, like, I mean, you've had a few setbacks in running, and you just had this new one, and it's hard to stay in the right frame of mind sometimes.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm looking at it now is like, okay, clearly, God wants me to be injured right now for whatever reason, and my job is to just be a light in that way.
Yeah.
If He wants me to, um, you know, uh, live out like Him in through being injured, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah. And that's really all you can do, right? Is look at what you've been given, the situation that is at hand, and say, okay, this sucks, right? I think it's important, first of all, to embrace, like, this sucks, right? It's okay to recognize that this is not the thing that you would have planned for your life. But then once you get over that shock or the disappointment of, like, this sucks, then it's okay to say, now what? Right? Like,
Yeah.
how do I take this disappointment? How do I move it further? And how do I go past the setback and not allow it to be a distraction to what my purpose is and what my mission is and what my goal is?
Hmm. Yeah.
And again, man, those are the things that they should teach you more often in school, is like how to deal with those types of things, because nobody ever talks to you about that. I mean, maybe your parents, maybe school, maybe a coach every once in a while, but, like, those are the things that are real in life. And how do you deal with that stuff when things go wrong, right? Because that's things go wrong all the time. It's an imperfect place.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think when that happens, it's important for us to remember, like, okay, God, you're in control. I trust you with this situation. I know it's going to work out. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I can't wait to see how it turns out to be amazing in the end.
Hmm. Yeah, I just finished the Sidney McLaughlin book, Running from Fear to Faith. If you haven't, it's a good book. You
Okay.
should, for all the two people listening, you should go. Mom, you should go watch that book, uh, or read the book. But yeah, I just finished it, and at the end, she's talking about how she didn't get to finish one of her seasons because she had an injury, and how, ultimately she glorified God in the way that God wanted her to glorify Him in that moment. He didn't want her to glorify Him by winning and breaking a world record that year.
That year.
That year, yeah. And so that time, He wanted her to glorify Him through being injured and being patient. And she did it. And so, in all of those times, there's different circumstances where God's calling you to glorify Him in different ways at that time.
Yeah. And I think what's cool is to say, like we were laughing, like, that year, right? Like, it's not your time
Yeah.
now, right? Now is your time to do this, right?
Hmm.
That time will come, but right now you need to do this. And it's not what you want to
Hmm.
do, but it's what I need you to do for
Yeah.
reasons that'll make sense at a later time, maybe. Like,
Only looking back. Yeah.
yeah, only looking back. If you're with us, Richard, his camera and everything dropped out. That's why he's no longer here. We didn't get tired of him and kick him out of the group. He says he's trying to get back in, so we're trying to let him. So we'll see how that works out. But that's the joys of doing a live show. I know there's like Jack said, there's three of you that are disappointed that Richard is no longer here. But we'll
Me
try and
being one of
entertain you
them.
for a little while.
Yeah.
So Jack, let's continue this and see, what Richard thinks when he comes back in, because I'm confident that he's going to come back in. Do you find that, like, whether it's work or whatever, school, it's important to keep your body and your mind strong and focused?
I mean, you can't really say no.
You could. There are
Just like,
plenty of
yeah,
people that
no.
don't. There are plenty of people that don't give it a thought at all.
Yeah, it's like, I think to be successful, you need to be like that commercial where this girl takes the egg and the frying pan. It's like, this is your brain. It's like, this is your brain on crack, and just destroys it. She starts destroying the whole kitchen. That's what
Yeah,
you need to
yeah,
be like. Yeah, no,
yeah.
no.
No, that's not a solid plan in any regard.
Mm-mm.
I think it shows it takes discipline to be able to do those things. Like your coach telling you
Mhm.
that, like, he gave you the list of things he wanted you to do every day, right? Like, just to stay disciplined and consistent.
Yeah, make your bed every day.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
Jordan Peterson says, make your bed every day. Yeah. All right. Well, now we got the
Mhm.
three of us. Oh, look at new locations. This is exciting.
So we're going to improvise, and I'm going to use my iPad because apparently the site has decided to not load on my computer anymore.
All right. Well, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Yeah.
So we're
Who'd
gonna
have
talk
thought
the
it?
three of us for a little while here then. So, Richard, I know, like, Jack and I were just talking about the importance of keeping your body and your mind strong. I know that's important to you, being, now that you're a cycling instructor and, you know, uh, kicking ass at the gym. What have you noticed when you started doing that in your just overall life and work and everything? What's the, I mean, has fitness always been important to you?
Yes, at times, and then it kind of faded off. So, where is the camera on this thing? I'm not looking at the camera. So I was really into running for quite a while and got really serious about my running, and then when I stopped going to the gym and doing things, when the lovely COVID word came around, all of our gyms closed down. They wanted you to wear a mask, all that fun stuff. I stopped going to the gym. Early 2020. Bought a Peloton, thought maybe I would just, take my exercise home, and start doing my own thing. And I kind of fell into a slump,
Yeah.
basically. I was working from home. I started the company. I wasn't exercising. I was just working and eating and sleeping, right? And what I found was I just didn't feel good,
Right.
about myself. But then I just didn't have the energy. I didn't feel motivated. I was just always tired. I just felt like crap, because I just wasn't doing anything. And my kids were, at that time were, starting to get a little bit more playful. They're 6 and 4 now. So, imagine a couple of years ago they were
Yeah.
starting to get where they wanted me to do stuff and play and learning to ride bikes. And I was like, I got to get back to working out. So, about 2 years ago, we decided to rejoin the gym, or the YMCA, our local YMCA, and started taking it more seriously, and started getting back into working out. Both of us together went together, utilizing the Child Zone watches we could, or when they were at school. And for me, it made a huge impact on not only how I felt energy wise, but how I felt about myself.
Hmm.
And I think feeling good about myself is a way of boosting confidence, not only in business but in your personal life as well. When you're out talking to people, I mean, if you walk up on a conversation and you're just constantly, you're just worried about how you look, how you feel, are you really engaged in the conversation? Are you bringing your full self at that point in time, or are you're just there? So I felt like, when I was able to get myself back in shape and started doing all this stuff, I just personally, I felt like, even as a business person, that I was a lot better off, and able to, be more clear minded, do things better, but also just have the energy to actually do it.
Yeah. I find that's a big one for me is just clearing the cobwebs and being more clear minded in life, and just being able to be more focused in what I need to do. Like, working out in the morning for me is like, it's like my medicine to start my day. Like it clears the cobwebs. It allows me to be up and ready and focused and ready to challenge the day, take things on and see what's going to come. You've already accomplished this thing. Now what?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you start the day by doing something versus just waking up and going, straight into the routine of work. You start out with, you do something that's good for your body. It's good for your brain. It's not just your muscles, in my opinion. You're exercising. You're exercising your mental as well.
Yeah.
And keeps you healthy, keeps you feeling good. So I mean, you're already like a step ahead, in my opinion, as to where you would be as if you just woke up and went straight to like the coffee and the donuts and went to work.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's a whole mindset. It just puts you in the right direction to go. And there's probably something scientific about it, physiologically about it. Like you're getting the blood going, your muscles are going, you're activated, now you're ready to go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's all those things like, I don't know. You can't ever believe what you see on the internet, but it shows all the memes of like brain stimulation and like what kind of brain stimulation you get from things. And like one of the ways that people's brains are stimulated is going for a walk, for a run,
Right.
getting out, doing something outside, getting fresh air, and getting the blood pumping, getting the heart rate up, and just blow it all out, clear your brain, and kind of reset.
Yeah. No, it's all important. It's all important. And I think more people should be doing it. Listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I think it would be really, really helpful for people if they were able to. I know some people have limitations. There's time. There's all kinds of stuff. But even just a little bit, like getting up and walking around when you're on a phone call, to me, it does wonders. Not. All right, Richard, anything else we want to talk about before we do 5 questions? Does Georgia want to do 5 questions with us? They're all appropriate.
I can ask her.
I mean, they're all appropriate. Jackie, you have anything you want to add to this conversation right now before we move into this?
I guess the only thing is at school now for
Yeah.
sports, they started doing like resiliency training
Okay.
with different sports. So like athletes are prepared but when things don't go well or you get
Yeah.
injuries or there's setbacks, you know how to handle them and you know how to handle them properly. And
Okay.
have a good mindset. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was cool. I thought it applied.
Yeah, and again, I think that's one of those trainings that they should do in school. Like that shouldn't just be an athlete thing. That should be a life thing. Like how do you handle setbacks and disappointments?
Yeah. That's why so many people are the way they are now.
Yeah, depressed and angry and all the stuff. Let's see, who's this? Hey, there's my friend. Mike Vendetti says he agrees with working out in the morning, gives me energy for the day, although I'm up at 5 a.m. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's really, really important to do. To including mom. Oh, Rich Thiel is here too from, yeah, there's my guy. He says it was 2 people listening, including mom. It might have been you and mom.
Yeah.
That could be it, but that's okay. But now we know it's not because Mike is here too. Georgia, how are you?
Good.
You're good? How was school?
Good.
What was your favorite part of the day?
Recess.
Recess was your favorite part of the day? What did you do at recess?
Play at the playground.
Nice. Did you play wood chips? No. All right. What did you play?
I played on the playground.
Just on the playground? You just ran around on the playground? That's good. All right. We're gonna have some questions. You and your dad can answer these questions. You can agree or disagree. Jack, do you want to put music? Are we getting music or no music today?
Sure, we can try music.
All right. It's a little bit more fun with music. Your hair got longer. Did you not get a haircut for a long time? No?
Can you ask them or answer questions when they ask them?
Okay, so hear the music? Very exciting music.
No, it's going. Yeah.
I know, I got it. All right, let's see.
Okay.
Question number 1. If you could make one rule that everyone in the world had to follow, what would that rule be? Richard, any question? Any thoughts?
I always eat ice cream after dinner.
Ice cream every day. That is an outstanding rule. So everybody in the world would have to have ice cream every day. Any specific flavor or any flavor they wanted?
Chocolate peanut butter.
Ooh, yeah. I think that's a winner. Richard, is that the rule that you would have for everybody?
I was just gonna say always have fun, but I think those two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That was a
agree.
rule in our house for a while.
Ice cream every day or have fun?
Both. I think they're both the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, they are. All right. Question number 2. Let's see. If you could have dinner with any 3 characters from a book, a movie, or a TV show, who would they be?
There's 3 people on TV, like
Bluey.
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 Have you
That's a
seen-
good one.
Bluey. The Grinch.
The Grinch after his heart changed or before his heart changed?
Before his time.
Oh, you like angry Grinch. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right, you got one more. I mean, technically, you could have 2 more. You can make Bluey sit. I mean, because dogs don't usually sit at the table. Bluey could be on the floor, and they could have but we'll just say one more.
Well, who else? Gabby's dollhouse.
All right, Richard, any thoughts?
I mean, I think those are all approved. It'd be interesting with the Grinch.
Yeah.
Santa
It would be
Claus.
interesting. It would be interesting. All right. Question number 3. What are you most proud of that you never have a chance to talk about?
What are you proud of? What do you do that you're proud of? Girl Scouts. She's recently joined the Girl Scouts.
All right. What's your
Sweet.
favorite thing to do in the Girl Scouts? Songs, music, campouts,
Sell yummy cookies.
sell yummy cookies.
So they've been doing donations, drop off this past weekend for Western North Carolina. So people been dropping stuff off. They've been organizing it, packing it up, getting it ready to ship to Western North Carolina, and they had to pick up trash around the school. So.
Well, that's awesome. Nice job with that. Congratulations. It's nice to know that you're working hard and serving people. That's exciting. All right, let's see. Number 4. If you could have any animal be a sidekick, what would it be? Any animal that just walks around with you and hangs out, is like your best friend and helps you with everything that you need to do, what would that animal be? It doesn't have to be a normal animal like a dog or a cat. It can be, but any animal, what would you like that animal to be? Nice and loud.
A cat.
A cat? Just a regular old cat?
Or like a really big cat.
Like for me, I would want a lion. I think a lion would be an outstanding sidekick. And that is a cat. Like, are you talking like that kind of cat or just like a little meow, little black and gray cat?
A lion cat.
A lion cat? Yeah, that's fun. It's fun.
I'd go with
Richard,
a shark.
anything? A shark? You would have a shark?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you better
Who's
be in
gonna
the water.
pet shark?
Huh?
He would just put him on his belly. How would he really move?
Nobody's gonna mess with you if you got a shark.
Then how will he move?
Well, that's the question. Like, you're going to have to walk around with an aquarium, or you're going to have like land shark.
You're gonna have to be behind and pushing him with it. I just back in the golf.
Your dad would pick a fish on land, wouldn't he?
If I had a pet shark, I would just let it
What did you say?
pass.
Eat the grass. The shark's gonna eat the grass.
The shark's going to eat the grass. All right, this is a different kind of a shark. Rich Thiel says, Georgia brought this podcast to the next level. Good work, girl. I agree. All right, now here's a question. How long would you last in the Hunger Games? Georgia, do you know what the Hunger Games is?
I've never seen it either, but I think I get the principle of it.
Yeah, the principle is, the gist of it is, there's a bunch of people that are in a game, and they need to be the last one to survive. How long do you think you could survive if there were like 8 of you all fighting over the same resources and only one person gets to walk out of that arena?
Well, you had your pet lion with you.
Oh, yeah.
You're pretty good at hiding too, so you could probably
Mhm.
hide from. I don't.
Not
think I
only
would
that,
do much.
you're just stinking adorable. Nobody's going to want to beat you. So there's that. Richard, what do you think? Could you survive? I mean, you're an outdoors guy.
Yeah, I think so. Until like the end, when it was just like 1-on-1, where like it was come down to like I would have to kill somebody just to to survive. Then it'd be tougher.
I like how he didn't say he would lose at that point. He just said it would be tougher.
Yeah, it'd be
Mhm.
tougher.
It'd be tougher. I mean, I have to do it if I had to, but it would be tougher.
If somebody, this is how I would survive. If somebody was coming towards me to punch me, I'll punch them back.
There you go. I mean, that's how you're going to win. That's how you're going to have to win. All right.
Teach them violence.
Listen, I'm sure they already know some level of violence. It's not, it can't just be us on this podcast talking about violence. All right. Before we go, we're going to do some prayer requests. Anybody listening have any prayer requests? Georgia, do you have any prayer requests? Anything that you want prayers for?
About all of our neighbors in the mountains. They can't pray.
I pray for our campground to come back because it got flooded.
With the hurricane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely all the people in Western North Carolina right now, in Florida, that we had I'm sure everyone has seen all the devastation in North Carolina, where people are left without their businesses, their homes. Still people unaccounted for. There's a lot going on. A lot of people rallying together for support. Prayers for them. Prayers for the people that are still going through it.
Yep. Jack, any prayer requests?
I mean, other than the boo-boos on myself and the whole team to go away, but
Yeah. Let's see, what do we got here? Anything? All right. I'm going to pray for us, and then we're going to say goodbye because everybody's got lots of things to do today. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity to talk with my friend Richard and be on here with my son and with Georgia and just talk about the things that you've given us in our lives. Thank you for allowing us to eliminate distractions and overcome obstacles. And really by doing that, by putting our faith and trust and hope in you, knowing that you've given us these things and you won't give us more than we can handle. Especially more than we can handle when we know that we have you by our side. And so we just thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this day. And we ask you to look over and look after all the people in North Carolina that have been affected by the hurricanes, or that might be affected by the hurricanes coming up in Florida, that you would keep them safe. Um, and that, in these moments, that they would put their trust in you. We ask that you would give people comfort in their sadness and strength in their weakness, and just always rely on you. And we pray for those people that are dealing with diabetes and whatever other sickness that might be, that you would continue to give them hope and courage, and lean on you, whether that's injuries, whether that's setbacks, sickness, whatever that might be. And so we thank you for today, and for everything that we have in store with it. And we pray that this podcast gave you a little bit of glory in the conversation, and we give it all to you, and we love you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Richard and Georgia, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little while. It was fun. It's good to see you. I hope at some point I'm going to get to come back out and visit again.
Welcome anytime. You always got the camper out here.
It's a nice camper.
Airbnb out here.
It is a nice camper. I'm not going to lie. It is a good camper. All right, guys, have a good one. I'm going to sign us off, and we'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Jack, what'd you think of that episode today?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I love the opportunity to talk with Richard. I tell people all the time, he is one of my favorite human beings. And it's not even because we work together. It's just because he's one of my favorite human beings. Just his character, the person he is, the way he looks out for people and helps people. And, everybody should have a Richard in their lives. And I think it's a great thing to have. So I'm really grateful to him and his whole family for their hospitality when I got to go out there and visit, and just for the friendship that we have. And I think it's great. It's great. Yeah, I really got nothing left. You?
No, nothing.
Nothing. All right. So we're just going to recap this by saying that, whatever it is that you're going through, just keep pushing, right? I mean, it's too easy to just quit and say it's too hard. Just keep pushing and reinvent yourself if you have to. That's what keeps happening here. I mean, every week that we do this, we try to think like, what can we do a little bit better? And there's a long laundry list of those things. And if you have any of those suggestions, please let us know. Don't keep it to yourselves. And if you want to keep being part of the show, or somebody that should be part of the show, send us an email. Send it to Jack at themanufacturingalliance.com, right?
Yeah, it's
He's going to put it up there in a second.
I'll put it up here.
There it is. Jack at themanufacturingalliance.com. If you would like to be part of the show, or anybody else that would, we're going to have a lot of cool things coming up. Rich Thiel is going to be joining us at some point. I bailed out last time. I had to go out of town to take care of some stuff. He was more than willing to be part of that show on that day, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But we have lots of shows coming up. We have lots of excitement coming up. I want to thank you all for listening and watching and being part of the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. On behalf of myself and Richard Evans and Jack, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless. Oh, he ends it with the fireworks. That's nice. I wish I could do that. I'm going to have to learn how to do that. But that was amazing. All right, fine. Close.
I got skills.
You do have skills. All right, we're out of here.